In this lesson, we will learn about how to find the area of a circle. So if you're thinking about a circle, it's going to be the space that that circle takes up. Where the circumference was the distance all the way around, this is the area that that circle takes up, or the space, I should say. So the formula that we are going to use to find area of a circle, there's only one formula here. Area equals pi r squared, where r is the radius. Looking at this circle right here as the example, we can see that we have a line that starts at the center and goes to the edge of the circle. That is your radius. So this is the radius of the circle is going to be 10 yards. We set this up the same way. We have to write our formula, substitute what we know, and our answer with units. So we are going to write area equals pi r squared. You don't have to memorize these formulas. They will be given to you on a reference sheet or in the problem. Area, now we're going to substitute in what we know. We're going to substitute in 10 yards for the radius, and that is squared. So that's that number times itself. So let's start with using our calculator. We're going to round this one to the nearest tenth. So when we plug in, use the pi button times 10 times 10, or you can use the x squared button. Let's write this over here. So this button that says x squared, you can use that to square a number, or you can just write 10 times 10. So rounded to the nearest tenth, our calculator is going to give us 314.2, and then our units are yards squared. So if we wanted to leave this in terms of pi, if that's what the question was asking, we start with the same thing. We start with our formula, area equals pi r squared. We substitute in what we know, 10 yards. And again, this is squared. And now we're going to leave pi in our answer, so we're only going to plug the numbers in. So all we need to plug in is 10 squared here, which gives us 100. Put our pi in. Again, we didn't put that into calculator, so we're going to leave it there, and the units are still yards squared. So now let's look at our second example right here. In this circle, this line goes all the way from one side of the circle to the other through the center. So that means that this is the diameter. The diameter is 14, but we need the radius to find area. So we're going to have to divide that by 2. If the whole distance across is 14, then our radius here is going to be 7 inches. And that's going to be your first step before you start calculating the area, because you do need the radius in this one, unlike the circumference where you could use either. So I'm going to start with writing my formula down. Area equals pi r squared. Substitute in what we know. So we have pi, and we know that the radius here is 7 inches, and that is squared. So in your calculator, use the pi button, pi times 7 times 7, or you can use 7 in that squared button right there. We'll round this to the nearest tenth. That gives me 153.9 inches squared. Or let's do this one again if the problem says to leave it in terms of pi. And again, this is the difference between rounding your answer or not rounding your answer. If you don't round your answer, you want to leave it in terms of pi. So we're going to start with our formula, area equals pi r squared. Substitute in what we know, and we know that the radius is 7 inches. We're going to square that. So now, since we're leaving it in terms of pi, we're only going to plug the numbers into our calculator. We only have one number here. It's 7 squared. So that will give us 49. Our pi is here because we didn't plug it in. And then we have our units of inches squared.